They said the house didn't exist on any map. Needle Hill, just a name whispered by locals too afraid to speak above a murmur. The kind of place teenagers dared each other to visit on drunken weekends, only for the bravest to return with stories no one believed. But Lena and her brother Amir weren't looking for legends. They were chasing content. Paranormal investigation videos were trending again. All it would take was one good night of footage, and they'd have something that might go viral. They drove 2 hours out of the city into the woods, past where the roads turned to gravel, then to dirt, and eventually nothing at all. The last stretch was done on foot. Lena, wrapped in a worn hoodie, kept glancing behind them, while Emir marched ahead with a flashlight and too much confidence. "There," he said, pointing through a narrow corridor of trees. It loomed, a crooked mansion, half-eaten by vines, its silhouette jagged against the fog-soaked sky, shingles missing, windows dark, but still standing tall like it was daring them to come closer. The front gate, wrought iron and taller than a man, hung askew. The lock was broken, rusted through as if time had melted it. Emir pushed it. The hinges screamed. Inside the courtyard, the grass had grown waist-high. Stone statues stood twisted with erosion. One of them, a headless angel, looked as if it had wept black tears. "Creepy," Lena muttered. "Perfect," Emir grinned, lifting his camera. "Let's make history." The front door opened to eye. The air that greeted them was stale, thick, as if it hadn't been disturbed in decades. A heavy silence clung to everything, broken only by the occasional groan of the house settling. They stepped inside. The floorboards wind beneath their feet. Faded wallpaper peeled like skin. Chandeliers hung with long-dead cobwebs, swaying ever so slightly though there was no wind. "Don't wander too far," Lena said. But Emir had already moved ahead, following the hallway toward a grand staircase. Something drew him in. Upstairs, they found bedrooms untouched for years, beds, still made, mirrors, dusk. But one door at the end of the hall was different. It was closed, and cold seemed to leak from its edges. When Emir tried the handle, it turned easily. Inside was a child's room, but it wasn't right. The wallpaper showed happy clowns and balloons, but all had been scratched through violently with something sharp. In the center, a rocking horse moved back and forth, as if someone had just left it, and above the bed hung a painting of a little girl. Her eyes were missing. "Did you hear that?" Lena asked suddenly. A soft voice, like a whisper behind the walls. "I'm still here." Emir swung the camera toward the source. Silence. The radio in the corner crackled to life despite being unplugged. Through the static, the voice came again. "A child's. He hides me when you come." The two stood frozen. The flashlight flickered. "Who's there?" Emir called, trying to sound firm. No answer. They turned to leave, but the door had closed behind them. Emir pulled at it. Locked. And then the sound of footsteps above them. Not heavy, small, running. The camera caught movement in the mirror. A shadow, darting just out of frame. Lena spun, her breath caught in her throat. No one there. "Let's get out," she said. But Emir didn't move. He was staring at the painting. The girl's face, it had changed. Now she was smiling, with teeth too sharp for a child. They kicked the door open and ran back downstairs. The house seemed to groan in protest. Every creak of the floor now sounded like it followed a pattern, as if the house was breathing. They burst into what must have been a ballroom. Giant windows lined one wall, but outside was nothing. No forest, no moon, just black, like the world had ended beyond the glass. A piano sat in the corner. One note rang out. Neither had touched it. The keys moved on their own, playing a melody that felt wrong, like it didn't belong to this world. Then, from upstairs, footsteps again, but heavier this time. Adult, pacing, back and forth. A thud, then dragging. Emir raised the camera. "This is insane. This is gold." Lena shook her head. "We need to go. This isn't a game." The entrance hall was gone. The doors had changed. The layout twisted. Rooms they'd passed seconds ago no longer existed. Walls had moved. Hallways stretched longer than they should. The house was alive, shifting. Suddenly, the air grew thick. A pressure pushed down on their chests. A sound, low and guttural, rose from the floor beneath them. The floorboards split open, and something looked back. A face not human, but close. No eyes, just soft skin stretched too tight. It opened its mouth wide and screamed, They ran through any door they could find, through dining rooms filled with decaying feasts, through libraries with books that whispered as they passed, through a hallway where the paintings changed expressions every time you blinked. Finally, they found the basement door. Down or die, Emir panted. Lena hesitated, then nodded. They descended into darkness. The basement was wrong. The walls pulsed like veins. The air was wet. Muffled sobs echoed from somewhere deep inside. They followed the sound to a room. Inside, candles lit themselves. Along the walls, symbols carved in blood. In the center, hanging from them, a child. But it wasn't a child. Its skin sagged like a costume. Eyes too old. It turned its head with a jerk, snapping bones. Its mouth never moved, but a voice filled the room. "Welcome home, Emir." Emir froze. His eyes turned black. Lena screamed. The creature looked at her, spoke again, this time using Emir's voice. "He's not here anymore." Lena ran. Up the stairs, into the twisting maze of the house. Every door she opened led to the same room, the child's room. The painting, the missing eyes, and the rocking horse. Still rocking. She tried breaking a window. Beyond it was nothing. Not darkness, not sky, nothing. And then laughter, high-pitched, dozens of voices, all around her, mocking. She collapsed to her knees, and the house exhaled. The walls moved inward, closer, breathing her in. Then, silence. She woke up in front of the mansion. Morning light, birds chirping. Emir nowhere to be seen. Was it a dream? She checked her phone. A single video file. She pressed play, static. Then her voice, screaming. Then Emir's face, smiling at the camera. But something was wrong. His eyes, they weren't his anymore. The video ended, and beneath it, a new file began recording, even though she hadn't touched anything. The screen read, recording. "Welcome home, Lena."